Hi, happy Wednesday. And guess what today is? It's Kalla's birthday. Happy birthday, Kalla. Hope you're having an awesome day and a big shout out to you. Wish we could all be there to sing to you. But hope you have an amazing day. All right, do you like my background today? What's that behind me? Yeah, it's a big boxcar. That's exactly what these young children had found in the woods, and they were living in it. Hmm, I don't know. Seems kind of like a crazy house to me, but they were they were not only enjoying it, but they also found a dog, remember? Yeah. So, and it sounds like the dog's going to stay with them for a while. I didn't get to see anybody's journal write about that. Did I? If I did, I forgot. Would you keep the dog? I don't think I saw your journal right yesterday. Tell me about that. So today we are on to chapter 5? Okay. Yes, chapter 5. The explorers find treasure. The next morning, Jessie woke up first, and she got up at once, for she was a housekeeper. The dog sat in the door of the car and looked at her as she jumped down to get the milk for breakfast. Then he jumped down after her. Jessie walked down by the little brook and stopped to look at the waterfall. It was beautiful. It must look like a refrigerator, she said with a laugh. It was a funny refrigerator. There was a rock behind the waterfall, and the night before, Jessie had put the 2 bottles of milk in the hole in the rock. Now she took out the bottles and found that the milk was very cold. "It is good," called Benny, who sat in the car door. "It is delicious," cried Jessie. "It's cold." She got up into the car with the milk and sat down beside Benny. Then the 4 children drank milk for breakfast. Henry said, "Today I'll go to town and see if I can get some work to do. I can cut grass or work in a garden or something. Then we'll have something besides milk for breakfast." He washed his hands and face and started out. "I'm so glad you have a dog, Jessie," he said. "Goodbye. I'll be back at noon." The children looked after Henry, and then they looked at Jessie. "What are we going to do now, Jessie?" Benny asked his sister. "Well, Benny," answered Jessie, "we'll go exploring. Let's look for treasures. We'll begin here at the car and look until we find a dump." "What's a dump?" asked Benny. "Oh, Benny," said Violet, "you know what a dump is. Old tin cans and old dishes and bottles." "Are old tin cans and dishes treasures?" Benny wanted to know. "They will be treasures for us," answered Jessie, laughing. "And wheels?" asked Benny again. "Will there be any wheels at the dump?" "Yes, maybe," replied Violet. "But cups, Benny, and plates. Maybe a spoon. You like to drink milk out of a cup." "Oh, yes," agreed Benny politely, but anyone could see that his mind was still on wheels. The explorers started walking down the old rusty track, with Watch hopping along on 3 legs. The other paw was still tied up with Jessie's handkerchief he held off. So there's the dog. Sorry. It was still tied up with a handkerchief that he held off the ground. But the dog looked very happy, and he liked the children. They all walked along in the woods, looking this way and that. After a while, the old track came into the sun, and the explorers found that they were on top of a hill. They could look down and see the town below them. "Henry is down there," said Jessie. Benny was walking along beside his 2 sisters. Suddenly he cried happily, "Look, Jessie, there's a treasure. A wheel!" The girls looked where he was pointing. They saw a big dump with many old bottles and tin cans on it. There was also both wheels and cups. Indeed, there was dishes of all kinds. "Oh, Benny," cried Jessie, "you saw the treasure first. What should we do without you?" Here's a picture of the children at the dump. Did you figure out what a dump is? A place where people put their garbage. Yep. Violet ran over to the dump. "Here's a white pitcher, Jessie," she cried. Jessie looked at it. It was all right. It only had one small crack. Here's a big white cup, too, she said happily. Can you use a teapot, Jessie? Asked Benny. Yes, indeed, she replied. We can put water in it. I have found 2 cups in a bowl. Let's look for spoons, too. Violet held up what she had found, 5 spoons covered with rust. Good, said Jessie. Here's a tea kettle. Let's pile all the dishes in it. Then we can carry them back to our boxcar. Benny had found 4 wheels just alike and laid them to one side. Now he held up a pink cup. There was a big crack in it, but it had a handle. This will be my pink cup, said Benny. I hope it will hold milk, said Jessie, laughing. It's a beautiful cup, Benny. The children laid all their treasures, even the wheel, on a board, and the girls carried the board back to the boxcar between them. They put the dishes down by the brook. Let's wash them, said Jessie. All right, agreed Benny. We'll wash my pink cup. And never did little boy's hand dishes so carefully to his, And never did a little boy hand dishes so carefully to his sisters as Benny did. The girls washed the dishes with soap, and Jessie used sand to get the rest off the spoons. There, he said, washing the last shining spoon. How fine they look, but I'm afraid they still aren't clean enough to eat from. When Henry comes, we'll get him to build a fire. Then we can have hot water to rinse them in, and then they'll be very clean. The children sat back and admired their dishes. Suddenly Violet cried, Oh, I know where I can put them. Come and see what I found in the car last night. Both girls looked in at the door. Look on the door on the other side of the car, said Violet. All Jessie saw were 2 pieces of wood nailed to the closed door of the car. But she knew at once what Violet was thinking. She ran to the boards they had carried from the dump and laid it carefully across the 2 pieces of wood. It made a fine shelf for their dishes. There, said Jessie. The children could hardly wait to put the shining dishes on the shelf. Let's put them on now, said Violet, and see how they look without waiting to rinse them. When they were on the shelf, Violet picked some white flowers and put them in the cup full of water in the middle of the shelf. There's the picture. They made a shelf, and now they put all the dishes they had found on it, and even some flowers. There, said Jessie, stepping back to look at it. You said there 3 times, remarked Benny happily. So I did, replied Jessie, laughing, and I'm going to say it again. She pointed into the woods and said, There. Henry was coming through the woods, and he carried many funny-looking bundles in his arms, but he would not open his bundles or tell them what he had been doing until it was time for dinner. Where did you get the dishes? He cried when he saw the shelf. We went exploring, said Violet, and found a big dump. The children began telling him all about his treasures. Benny told him about the tin can and his pink cup and the wheels. Jessie took out the big kettle and asked him about building a fire. We want to use the dishes to eat from, she told him, and it's hard to get them clean in cold water. So Henry made a small fire in an open place where it could not burn anything, and he put some big stones all around it. Yes, we ought to have a fireplace, he remarked. Jessie cleaned the kettle with sand and filled it with water. Then Jessie put it on the fire. Soon the water was boiling, and Jessie rinsed the dishes carefully. Now I know they're clean enough to eat from, she said happily. And that was the end of that chapter. So the children were figuring out things for themselves to figure out how to take care of themselves. And one of the things that they were going to do was try to find some money. So Henry was going to go to work. And then they found those dishes, right? It's interesting that even children can take care of themselves. In today's journal, tell me about something you do to take care of yourself. Do you make your bed? Do you get your own cereal out in the morning? I bet there's lots of things you do to take care of yourself. You probably get yourself dressed, right? And brush your own teeth. Maybe you can think of some other things. Write some things in your journal today. Write at least 2 complete sentences that tell me what you do to take care of yourself. Have a great Wednesday, and I will see you tomorrow.